Hey guys, we're live with Klaus Janson, Lee Weeks, Cully Hamner, Andrew Robinson's on his way in, which I think he just pinged. So welcome to our live stream and joining us today. We appreciate it. Let's see, what's everyone going to be working on today? Klaus, let's start with you. What are you going to be doing here?
Well, I'm doing a Daredevil, that Daredevil commission that we were talking about.
Oh, I think that's for John. I'm sure he'll be happy. Lee, you're doing something out here?
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm doing some warm up gestures just to get warmed up. I have a couple of this is a potential.
That's not bad.
I may be working on.
Cully's working on Superman, right?
Yeah. Today is Superman's birthday.
Happy birthday, Superman.
Yeah, he is both 82 and 29. He's eternally 29.
He looks pretty good for 82. And Andrew's in here. He looks like he's working on a Hellboy.
Yep.
Sweet. How you been, Andrew?
Sweet.
I've been good.
That it's Superman's birthday.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Andrew, can you hear Lee?
Andrew, can you hear me?
I can hear Cully.
Oh,
Hi,
Lee,
Andrew.
Hear you, Jason.
Lee said hello.
Hi, Lee. Yeah, I'm not hearing Lee.
And there's the first glitch of the day.
I can hear Klaus too.
Oh.
Klaus.
I'm not saying anything yet.
We can hear your thoughts, Klaus.
It's coming in loud and clear.
You can hear my thoughts.
Yeah.
I do have a question. I have a question for the group.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm doing a class on Monday, and I want to show, we're getting toward the end of the semester, and I want to show the kids some artwork that, is good, and I've got like one or two names that I'm thinking about, but I was wondering, what would you show a class, who basically doesn't know a lot about the history of comics or, artists in general. I mean, they know manga and what's going on, right now. But what would you show that would be, historical in terms of storytelling or breakthroughs or, just artists that, you think are worth looking at and exposing the kids to?
From your own from you or from other artists?
No, from other artists, from the world of comics. Yeah. I mean, I was thinking one guy would be Mobius, right? Showing, the two different styles that he worked in.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, okay. So I'm putting Mobius down. Definitely, right?
Frank?
I was thinking Steranko.
Steranko, sure.
When he was at Marvel. What do you guys think? What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Those are great. The first name that popped into my mind when you were asking the question is Kniff.
Yeah, Kniff.
Kniff, yeah. What, the Terry and the Pirates, Lee?
Yeah, yeah. Terry
What about
Sickles.
Toth?
Toth, Sickles.
You guys are no help at all.
Wait, what's your problem with Toth?
Is Toth not helpful?
Well, I mean, I think you make good choices, Klaus. And are you looking for more choices?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, right now I've got Mobius, Steranko, and Kniff.
Well, I certainly agree with Cully. Toth is a good choice.
Toth, right.
I was going to say Walt Simonson.
Go ahead, Andrew.
You said Walt Simonson?
Yeah.
Simonson? Okay.
Obviously Frank Miller, right?
You know, I was thinking Mazzucchelli too, right? When
Oh,
he did
definitely,
Rubber Blanket,
definitely.
Right,
Oh, yeah.
Mazzucchelli, right? Yeah.
What about Neil?
And then, you know, Craig Thompson.
I don't know Craig Thompson, but Anthony Marquez is here. He says Foster, Eisner, Kubert, Kirby, Toth, Topi from Jim Reddington.
Oh, Topi, yeah.
Hey,
Oh, those are
Anthony.
good. Tell Anthony I said thank you. What was it? Eisner, of course, right?
Eisner, yeah. Kubert,
Crickstein.
Kubert, yeah, that's right.
Hal Foster,
Right.
Cully
Dan,
Hamner.
Dan Klaus.
Randall.
Right. Cully Hamner, right?
Cully Hamner's in there.
Right.
Of course he is. That's not bad. Okay, that's good. Craig Thompson, yeah.
How's everyone doing today? Hey, Karsten, thanks for coming. Oh, John Buscema. There you go.
What was that?
John Buscema. Wally Wood. There we go. There's some good ones.
Now you're talking about just pure, like when you say great art, like what do you mean? You mean like from an illustration standpoint, from a storytelling standpoint, from a composition standpoint? Or what do you mean? Klaus.
I wonder if he can hear us now. Hey, Klaus, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
Cully, did you hear Cully? He asked what your, I guess, specs are on what makes a good, what you're looking for. Storytelling, perspective.
No, I mean like from an illustration standpoint, from a storytelling standpoint, from a compositional standpoint, like what exactly do you mean? All the above?
Yeah, just I hate to say this, but I was talking about. I showed them a page of Eisner like last week or the week before, and they did not know who Will Eisner was, and that first that takes me aback. But I was thinking in terms of people who really broke ground and started doing something different, and that's kind of why I was thinking about Craig Thompson. I don't know if you guys have seen his
Blankets.
last work. It's called like Ginseng. Oh, here it is. I don't know if you can see that.
Hold on.
It's called Ginseng Roots, but it's an amazingly different way of storytelling. The page layouts are different, and his way of dialoguing is different. It's fascinating. Yeah, I don't know.
Who would be on your Mount Rushmore of comics, Klaus?
Well, it would, for me personally, it would be like Kniff and Kubert, Eisner, Toth. Yeah. Steranko was a big one for me.
What did you like about him?
The fact that he continued to surprise me. When I was a kid, when those Shield comics came out, they just blew my mind. Neil was like that too. Neil Adams.
Of course.
The capacity to surprise me was amazing.
How about you, Lee? Who'd be on your Mount Rushmore of comics?
Well, the one that resonates with me from childhood all the way through is Buscema. He's one of the guys that
I would guess Kubert would be one of Lee's big.
Yeah, but you know what? I didn't know who Kubert was until almost 1980, 79 or 80. I didn't know a lot of, I was mostly a Marvel guy. And
Hey, does anybody know if Brian Hitch does digital or works on paper?
I think he still works on paper.
Yeah.
He does. Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah. He's amazing.
That he is.
You agree, Cully? He's incredible.
What did you ask me?
Yeah. Tell me I'm wrong, but I find Brian's work to be consistently above, what is necessary. He's really good.
I think he's really, and I think he's talked about this on Twitter a lot. He's really kind of like sort of found himself the last few years. Not that he ever wasn't himself, but I mean, that he has just sort of figured out a rhythm that really works for him.
Real quick,
Brian.
Sorry, real quick, guys. I just put up a link, queensfeedshospitals.com. It's a charity that helps restaurants feed the local hospital workers in Queens. If you guys could take a look at it, and you can donate $5, $10, whatever you can. I just put the banner on the screen here. Appreciate it.
What, through PayPal or credit card or what?
Yeah, through PayPal, credit card. There's a donation link on that page you can check out.
Sure.
And some more information.
Yeah, as you know, Queens has been pretty busy.
Yeah. Pretty rough going.
Yeah.
What's been a good thing that's happened over the last few weeks, I guess, for you guys? Something that you didn't think would be, I don't know, that surprised you in a good way?
You mean in terms of art, Jason, or
Anything? Some good news, something interesting that happened that you didn't think would come of being routine.
Well, you may laugh, but I've been really enjoying the late night talk shows.
Really?
Yeah. Well, how they've been navigating, working at home, and it reminds me of the. I know you're not old enough to remember this, but it reminds me of like Soupy Sales and Jack Parr, and, that kind of early local TV show.
I do have memories of Soupy Sales, but by the time I was old enough to remember Soupy Sales, he had a Saturday morning TV show.
Oh.
It was like a weird comedy, kind of a athletic obstacle course kind of a show. like people would compete on like a wacky Olympics kind of a show or something. Not like the cartoon, but it was actually a real thing.
No kidding, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I actually did know.
It was like syndicated, a national.
I don't know. I really don't. I was a very small child, and but that's my growing up experience with Soupy Sales. I only found out later that he, was a golden age of television, live guy.
Yeah. Well, he used to broadcast from New York, so when I was a kid living in Connecticut, we would get that. And then he got fired because of that risque joke that he told.
What joke was that?
It was a baseball joke, and it was about somebody got hit between the strikes, and then somebody got hit between the balls. Sorry. You had to be there.
I remember he had a radio show too, right? And I heard this story.
What was that, Lee?
I believe he had a radio show too. But maybe this was the TV show. But he instructed all the kids to go into mom's purse or dad's wallet and send him $1.
Oh, that's right.
And he got a bunch of money sent to him. And got in
That's
trouble.
awesome.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. He asked kids to send in like dollar bills, right?
That's right. I heard about that.
Yeah, I do remember that. That's right.
All right, so we've got a question from Mercury.
That's funny.
He says, I know Klaus teaches at SVA and Lee teaches at the Kubert School. What do they like most about teaching? Does Andrew and Cully teach also? You want to start with you, Klaus? Nope, I think he froze. Lee?
I've done very little of it. I taught once a week last year, and then I was teaching once a month this year. I mean, I enjoy getting out of the studio. I think the most gratifying thing of all was towards the end of the first semester last year, when you started to see progress, specific progress in the students, and you knew it came from things that you had shared with them, where they actually were listening, and you could see the stuff start to show up. So just that kind of camaraderie with the students, and that was my favorite part. And working with Tom Mandrake, it was we co-taught a class, and it was a lot of fun with him.
Very cool. So, Klaus, I don't know if you heard the question.
Lee, has the shutdown affected how you relate to the kids or your feelings about the kids at all? Or
me?
Yeah,
I haven't been involved at all. My thing went away when the shutdown happened. So.
Oh, it did. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a Saturday morning sketch class next Saturday, and we're talking about doing. I hope this is okay, Anthony. We're talking about doing Anthony's been doing some online classes with the Kubert School, and I'm going to try to.
Do you have that? I'll pop it up. Hold on, let me find it. Is that the online studies?
Yeah.
Okay. Here. Well, you can find it here, gentlemen. Let me put the banner. Just go to the kubertschool.edu and you'll find more information about it. But the question, Klaus, was, I know Klaus teaches at SVA and Lee teaches at the Kubert School. What do you like most about teaching?
Huh. There's a lot of things that I really like about teaching. In no particular order. I certainly like the getting to know a whole another generation of people, of students, getting to know what they think about, getting to know what they like, what they don't like. I like getting out of the house, obviously. I like talking about comics, and I like learning about comics too. So I learn a lot from teaching. I think anybody who teaches will tell you that.
Yes.
You just learn a lot by trying to do a good job, at least.
Hey, Klaus, as in that learning.
And the millions and millions of dollars that you make teaching.
Klaus, in that learning, don't you think a big part of that is like it almost pulls out of you things that you know that you don't know that you know until you have to explain them to somebody else?
Yes, that's exactly right, Lee. You hit it right on the head. Yeah. It's and in a lot of ways, sometimes somebody will ask you a question, about something you never even thought about, and you got to figure it out.
Do you guys ever find that someone asks you a question and something you thought you knew, you didn't really know so well? And what I mean by that is like, do you ever find that like you had like a preconception of something you thought you knew about, but when you found when you had to justify it to someone else, you found you didn't know it as well as you thought?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Well, okay.
Well, Cully,
there was an occasion that I had recently to reread an interview that I did from like 30 years ago. And I realized as I was reading it, I had no idea what I was talking about. I don't know if I do now, any better. But I could just see, that I was just BSing my way through the entire interview. Hilarious.
Hey, Cully,
Yeah.
this is. I think what happens more with me is I'm surprised that I know stuff.
Really?
Yeah, I go in feeling like I don't. I'm like, what can I give these kids? What can I share with them? I don't. So it's usually a surprise. I mean, I know that I know some stuff, but I think I walk in feeling like I know very little, and it's yeah.
That's one of
But
those
that's
things that almost might keep me from teaching very often. I mean, I've taught here and there, once in a blue moon, but I've never done it regularly, and I always feel like maybe I'm not as secure in my knowledge as I should be.
Yeah,
If that
I bet the same thing would happen though, as you
if you
start to
allow me
show what you
pontificate,
know.
Cully, I compare it to going beyond. When you draw or when you work or when you're drawing or inking or doing comics. There are some times when I'll do that when I'm working and I know I made a mistake and this is not working and I know that I shouldn't have put the black there or I shouldn't have done this or done that. And then eventually I try to get to the point where you can make that work. And so it's like a new discovery.
right.
And that's kind of the way. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, absolutely know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And so that's what happens when somebody comes up to me and asks a question that I'm unprepared for. You kind of figure out a way to answer that question for yourself.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what I mean by kind of like you find while you're answering the question that you're almost justifying your knowledge of it to yourself. It's almost like
For sure.
you're telling yourself, this is why I know this, and I've never had to verbalize it before. But
I think that's exactly what I meant before. First time I taught a 12-week night class at the Cubert School just a few years after I got out, and I felt like I had learned stuff, but I didn't like. It was like it went from the work I was doing in my work. It was like I had a certain set of tools in a tool belt, but as I had to explain it, it was like taking each one of those tools out of the tool belt, seeing they had a dull edge, and the teaching was like the process of sharpening that tool. So the next time I used it, I could use it with more deliberation. You know what I mean?
Well, plus I'll just add one thing is I think the challenge is you're dealing with the visual medium and then to be able to explain yourself verbally on how you approach something that again is in the visual and trying to find the right words to explain yourself so that somebody else can understand.
It's almost like trying to find the right color, but verbally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, Andrew and Cully, have you taught at all?
I mean, I wouldn't say I have taught on occasion and not in any sort of regular sense, but like DC had a program for a little while
Cully, you did some of those workshops.
Well, that's what I was getting to. They had like a thing where they would bring in some of the younger freelancers that they were using, and they would have somebody experienced teach essentially a master class, and they would pick a subject, and you'd go through the entire thing. Klaus has done it. Scott Snyder has done it. Frank Miller did it with Klaus. And there was one that I did. They had me come in and essentially talk about the working relationship between a writer and an artist, and kind of how to manage that, and how to basically be easy to work with, and also how to stand your ground on things that matter to your craft. And it was very interesting. It was illuminating. I don't know if anybody got anything out of it. But it was fun to do. I wish that they still did that stuff. Last I heard, they kind of that whole thing is sort of gone by the wayside.
They didn't find it helpful at all, or any type of benefit?
I think that I don't know why they stopped it. I mean, maybe they felt they weren't getting. Maybe they felt like they were maybe spending too much money on it, or I who knows? I have no idea why they stopped doing it. I found it very helpful and interesting to sit in a room and listen to Klaus and Frank talk. I also thought it was a really good community building exercise. But I mean, look, I've spoken to, high school classes, and I've did a talk at a college a couple of times, and it's happened, but it's not something I don't necessarily feel particularly comfortable teaching. Don't feel like I would be particularly good at it. I don't know. I think it's just anxiety based.
Oh,
I have a tendency to stand up there and think, wow, I have nothing to offer anyone here.
Oh, Matthew is saying that he hopes your arm is feeling better.
Oh, someone said thanks. Yeah, it is. It's just my elbow's just kind of tight.
We see that weekly scar.
What now?
Check in to see that scar. To show everyone that nasty.
Yeah.
Sickening.
I think that scar's going to be there for a while.
What happened?
Andrew, you want to tell Lee how you hurt yourself?
Just curling on the seated curl bench, and I think just a bit too heavy and just hitting it too strong, and I think I was like getting over a cold or something. Who knows? I might have had the virus then. This was in September.
You tore your bicep though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But I remember I went to the gym after being kind of sick, and I think I was a bit dehydrated. And I think just a combination of a lot of things, and it made the perfect storm. And I just completely ripped my bicep from the tendon.
Oh
boy. Oof.
So yeah,
that
happened.
So what happens when you work out? That's why I don't work out. Stay at home.
Is that the reason?
That's one of the reasons.
I don't know if you guys know, but Jason's a demon on the Peloton bike.
Oh yeah,
I've heard the rumor.
It's go nuts. The cats downstairs love watching me struggle.
I mean, really, who doesn't enjoy watching you struggle?
It's a daily occurrence, basically. At least I have an audience now, a bigger audience. Let's see. Okay, Andrew, you don't teach at all, right? Have you been?
I think like Cully, I've just taught on occasion. I just taught recently at the local library just for a day.
I can never remember if Daredevil has ears or not.
He does.
Well, they're horny.
Well, no, I mean, I think he's talking about his ears, like his actual ears, right?
Right.
I always draw him with the ears. That's me.
You mean when he has the mask on?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I do like a little. Can you see it?
Let's see. Let me zoom in there on you, Lee.
Just a hint. I do a hint.
How can he hear though, if he's got something covering his ears?
Well, he's pretty sensitive, right?
It's magic, Jason.
Well, it's kind of like if Spider-Man is wearing shoes, how does he stick to everything, with gloves on?
Isn't he kind of wearing socks?
I don't know. I guess those gloves.
Spider-Man's wearing shoes.
These are the things that keep me up at night.
You've just ruined 70 years of Spider-Man comics, Jason.
Did anyone think about that? No, nobody thought about that before.
Not really.
Hey, we're listening to Jason struggle.
Yeah. Yesterday I had some cookies. It was good.
What kind of cookies?
How many, Jason?
Box. Enterman's chocolate chip cookies are the best kind of cookies.
Are these pot cookies?
No, we don't have any of those. you want to send me some, then we'll take them. Let's see. We've got a question from Davide. Mr. Janson, love your art, both as a penciler and inker. One of my favorite works is your first arc of Punisher Warzone with Romita Jr. Do you have an artist whom you have a better connection than others in terms of collaboration? You worked with Mr. Weeks too, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, that's a good question, and thanks for the compliment. Clearly John Jr. and I have a good working relationship. I think Frank Miller and I have a good working relationship. I'd love to work with Lee some more, but he apparently hates my work, so I can't speak for him.
Right. You know what? I remember.
And I'll put in Sal Buscema. I loved working with Sal. That was a good working relationship. Yeah.
What makes it good or bad? I think Klaus froze a second there. Klaus, you still there? Klaus? No? Give me a second to hop back on. Lee, sorry, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, I remember when I was at the Kubert School, we came upon a, I think I have this right. I think Klaus inked Buscema on a couple of Savage Swords, and
Yeah.
Is that right? Did you ink 2 issues of Buscema?
I think it was John Buscema, yeah.
Yeah, John Buscema on Savage Sword, and they were awesome. I remember we poured over those.
Well, it's John Buscema, and isn't he your primary influence, Lee?
He was the number one influence growing up and stuff. And I go, anytime I go back to him, I'm more impressed than ever. I've been seeing a lot of his rejected splashes and rejected pages, and I just can't believe that what he would reject while claiming he hates doing comics.
Do you believe that, Lee, that he hated doing comics?
No, which is why I think he rejected them, because he would act like he didn't care, but you don't redo some of the things he redid and not care, right?
Yeah.
He's.
Oh boy. Excuse me. Okay, there's another question from Matthew. I think it's open to everybody. Random question. When it comes to pinups, what are you guys considering about?
One of the kids in class recently asked why I was showing them a particular artist, Alfonso Font. I don't know if you know that guy. But I was showing them some Alfonso Font artwork, and his ability to put in a lot of detail and his ability to texture and identify characters through their texture and through their design. And the student asked me, why does he do that? Why does he do that? And above and beyond all of the technical reasons why he does that, I said to the student, because he enjoys doing it, and I think that's a big part of it. Don't you think, guys, that you really just enjoy doing that kind of work? It's enjoyable. Which reminds me of, John Buscema, because I think on some level he really did enjoy it.
Yes.
Hold on, I got a question for you guys from Matthew. When it comes to pinups, what are you guys considering about how to visually communicate each character? Do you often think of featuring props / background, even if it's not featured, or is it mostly in their gesture? And following that, do you consider vastly different musculature for each guy? Let's start. Let's start with Andrew this time.
You mean like a group pinup? I guess that's what he's talking about.
Well, you just said pinups.
I mean, if it is a group, then yeah, I try to give each person. I mean, say it's like Justice League, for instance. I mean, obviously, Flash is going to have like a different body structure than say Batman or Superman. So sure, I try to mix it up with some people maybe being bulkier, some people being more like gymnast, sprinters.
How does that affect the composition or the layout?
Well, for me with group stuff, I try to have maybe one person in the extreme foreground, and then maybe foreground, middle ground, background. And so I try to divide the space up, so it's not just a tight cluster of characters, but again, somebody large in the foreground, and then maybe some distance between them and the middle ground characters, and then put characters in the background. So obviously you have somebody you're going to focus on.
Is it
which may not be the person in the foreground either. You can still have the focus on somebody who's maybe in the middle ground. But I do try to divide the space up.
Well, I'm just curious. Do the colors or the costume colors come into effect in any point in that computation?
Yeah, I mean, I think I put more. If say a part of somebody's costume is white, then I'm going to put less shadow and line work on that part of their costume. And if a part of their costume is like a dark blue or dark red, it might actually even go to black in the inks. Certainly something that, it's hard not to be influenced by, like, say, Mike Mignola. And Mike Mignola is the perfect example of choosing the heaviness of the inks with the color of the costume.
Interesting. Cully?
I don't know. It's really situational for me.
Say that, Andrew. Most people don't think about that.
About what?
Yeah, about the color of the costume and how to ink it according to the color of the costume. Yeah.
It's a tough thing, especially if you're doing like a multi-character cover, because you've got a situation where if you have for example, the Justice League, where pretty much all the characters have all the colors on them. So it's like, how do you do a color composition that incorporates literally the entire spectrum of colors? It's like, then you have to find yourself like manipulating other colors so that they'll work within a color theory, but also read as a particular color. Like sometimes, if I'm doing a cover right now where there's a character in the foreground, I've got sort of just a triadic color composition. So there's like a green, orange, purple kind of a thing happening, but the characters are all primary colored. So you have to basically, like for the characters in the background who are primary colors, I'm having to push the blues towards, all the blues or all the colors on those characters towards like purple. So it'll read like red, yellow, blue, but it's really more of a purple, green sort of you have to be very, it's hard to verbalize this. This gets pretty deep into the weeds.
Make one up real quick. Just do a cover for us real quick.
Yeah, I'll do it for you right now. But you guys know what I mean, right? I mean, like, especially, people who kind of color their own covers, it's like you have to be very, very strategic in where you put characters.
What about you, Lee?
I'm probably not good at doing that. I'm thinking so black and white that, yeah, I'm probably not very good at that.
And Klaus, what about you? Any insight? Klaus?
Yeah, what?
Remember the question?
What? No,
When it-
you guys are popping in and out. I don't have really good audio today. What's the question?
the question was, when it comes to pinups, what are you guys considering about how to visually communicate each character? Do you often think of featuring props and background, even if it's not featured, or is it mostly in their gesture? And following that, do you consider vastly different musculature for each guy?
Well, certainly in terms of the the design of a character, absolutely. That kind of stuff didn't come easy for me. That came late, but being able to give the anatomy and the musculature individual identity is a pretty good I think policy to follow. It's like trying to make each character different so that you can easily identify them as a reader. That's really important. You don't want to be you don't want a group of people to look the same. You want them to be skinny and fat and blonde and black and dark and tall and short, all that kind of stuff. So
then, which aspect do you think would be the most important, when you create a pinup or a cover? Is it the anatomy, the composition, the lighting? What is there something that you think is more important over something else?
Yeah, it's the composition.
Yeah, you don't have anything without the composition.
Even if it's well rendered?
Rendering means nothing without composition.
Yeah, I agree there too. Composition design should come first, and then you can figure out all the drawing aspects secondly.
And there's some truth to the theory or the thought that you can be a medium drawer. You don't have to be the greatest drawer in the world, but if you have composition, that will carry you forward a great distance.
I think some of the greatest practitioners of comics ever weren't necessarily the best figure artists or the best drawers, as you put it.
Can you think of somebody, Cully?
Nobody I want to name. You're a bomb thrower.
Well, we've always talked about Kirby.
Well, you know what? Kirby really could draw. He just figured out a style that worked for comics.
That's right.
Hey, Cully, have you seen those Kirby collectors from several years back where they printed a bunch of his pencils? I was blown away by the subtlety in the pencils.
No, I have not.
I've
not seen that stuff, but I did see there was a magazine back in the early '80s. It wasn't Comic Scene, it wasn't Comics Interview, but it was Comics something. That they published a bunch of his sketchbook stuff from the 40s and 50s before he was, Marvel, Mr. Marvel himself.
Right.
And they were lush and illustrative and not at all what you would think of as Jack Kirby. It was really interesting to look at.
Yeah, he had great subtlety, I thought. Just a real sensitive that would often get lost in the finish. By the way, when I answered that before, I was speaking most about the color.
But I was going to say style is really what makes comics definitely interesting, certainly for me as a kid.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily like great drawing, even though there probably was great drawing underneath the style. But it's really the style of the different artists that made me just want to emulate it, copy it.
I mean, to me, that's an important factor in being a good comic book artist, is figuring out how to stylize things that, you don't really have time to draw completely realistically or believably. I think a lot of greatness comes out of that.
Yeah. I mean, say what you will about Liefeld, but I think he made comics, or his style was a lot of fun for a lot of kids to look at.
Yeah, it was exciting.
I remember back in the day loving X-Force and Liefeld and picking up those books.
I think other artists took his style and took it just a bit further, you know, like Travis Charest and Jim Lee, I would say.
Let's see. We've got a few questions coming in. Let me just read them first. Okay, let's see. How much do you guys rely on reference? Do any of you use? Do any of you not use reference photos at all? How do you strike the balance so that it helps, but you don't rely on it so much that the final drawing doesn't look flat, stiff, or lifeless?
I can start.
Go ahead, Andrew.
I usually try to draw out of my head until I get stuck, and then I'll get a reference. Like, especially when it's like that 3/4 view of the head over the shoulder, and it's from behind, and you don't know if you're going to see part of the nose. You know, how much of the eye do you see?
Yeah.
The
I
mouth.
know what you're saying, Andrew. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
So if I'm trying to draw it out of my head and it just doesn't look right, and basically I want the drawing to be not correct but believable within the language that I'm laying down visually. So whenever I get stuck, that's when I just go for the reference. And obviously, if I'm drawing a certain type of car or a certain place, a time in history, you have to do your research.
Yeah.
In terms of figures and just drawing people, I'm with Andrew. I find it's going to be much more believable if I can feel my way into the drawing.
Yeah.
Before I rely on reference. The reference is usually.
I'll also add that if you're painting, and it's even more important, I guess, to get reference for paintings, because you need to draw in more or paint in more of the lighting and values.
Yeah,
it's really hard to make all that stuff up.
I find that it's just dependent on how much feel is required for what part of the art that you're doing. Like you said,
Right.
It's like if you're doing something that's very dependent upon gesture, very dependent upon energy, I find it's a good idea to like just rough it out first and then go back and either take or find reference that kind of assists what you're doing. If the lighting has to be very specific, then that's where you bring in the reference. Or I mean, it's funny. Like I remember years ago, I used to, before I did comics, I did caricatures. I used to do caricatures for a living for a couple of years. I worked in a caricature studio, and there was a period of maybe about 10 years ago where I was asked to do caricatures of. There was a company that I was involved with called 12 Gauge Comics, which is still around, and I was asked to do caricatures of everybody that was involved with the company. So I had a couple of false starts with people where I just was like, I'm not really getting the likenesses. This doesn't look like this person. It's okay, but it's not really working. And I found that if I put the reference away, if I put the photos of them away and just roughed out what I thought they looked like from memory and then brought the reference back out and looked at it and made corrections, that was when I started getting likenesses out of people.
Cool.
So it's a time and place thing, where you choose to use the reference. I think it's very situational.
Are you taking reference just on Google or?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it just depends. I mean, if you've got a model available, or if you've got like a prop available, or if you've got like a locale or something like that you can get to. I mean, that's perfectly. It's all in how you use the reference. But like I'll use a lot of times I'll use SketchUp models, because not even necessarily to trace, but even sometimes just to look at an angle of something in a particular lens ratio.
But before Google and before SketchUp, what were you using?
Well, usually you'd have a reference library. Like at the studio, we had a dedicated room at Gaijin that was just all of our pooled reference material. and that was pretty useful.
Something that was really
I
helpful
remember
for me.
being.
Sorry.
Lee.
Go ahead, Lee.
I was just going to say something that was really helpful for me because I was not mechanically inclined is getting model cars. I didn't get a lot, but I got a few just to help me see some of the. I always struggled with drawing the underside of a car if it was flipped over.
Oh God, I hate that.
So having a three-dimensional object that I could rotate in my hand was a lot easier for me to work from. Just helped me to make it more believable.
Yeah. I remember when Simonson was doing Star Wars and Tom Palmer was inking it, and they both had built the models, of the different spacecrafts and stuff like that. And models are extremely helpful. But I remember it's when I was up at the office at at Marvel during the I guess 70s and 80s and so on. When John Romita Sr. was up there, his office was full of National Geographic.
Thank you.
Just tons and tons and years of National Geographic that he would use as reference.
There's a question from Jason Wood. How often do you discover new artists these days? Are you constantly looking at others' work? Do any of you collect art, either via purchase or trade?
I'll buy something occasionally, but not. I don't haunt, Heritage or eBay. But I've got a couple of pages. I've got a Kirby page, a Ditko page, Wally Wood, Neil Adams. The guys that I really liked. Yeah, but new guys, I'm constantly on the lookout for stuff that is new to me. Yeah.
Lee, how about you?
I'm probably the least read person working in comics. I'm not a big reader of new stuff the last several years, but I still love picking up the stuff that I grew up with, the stuff that I love. I was looking at Batman Year One earlier this morning.
The Mazzucchelli?
Yeah. Yeah. And
what do you think of that, Lee? What do you think of the Batman Year One?
I think it's the closest thing to a perfect comic book that's come out of the corporate-owned commercial comics that I've ever seen. How's that?
I don't think you're wrong.
I think it was near perfection.
I don't know if David told me this, or I heard this from one of his students, or maybe I heard this from one of his students. But the story was that he did not use any reference on that book at all. That it was all out of his head. Yeah. And again, I don't know if that's true or not. You can kind of see it if you look at it from that point of view.
Even those shots of traffic and stuff, some of that stuff like where you see cars in traffic, I'm like, that looks pretty referenced to me.
I
can't vouch for that story, but
that L train in the beginning.
It's a good rumor.
Yeah, and who are we to get in the way of a good rumor, right?
That's a good.
I can see a lot of places where he does do. There's some real magicianship in there. So there might be like the occasional place where he did, or maybe he didn't. I don't want to.
I'll tell you what I love is looking at the Daredevil run before that, where you look at the very beginning of when Frank came on to work with him, and you look at the beginning of that run, and his stuff was very mannered and very classic, and then you get to the end of that run, and it's so caricatured and distorted and impressionistic, and it's so interesting to watch the progression of that stuff.
That's exactly right. I always thought that his evolutionary speed was amazing.
Yeah.
Sort of akin to I compare it to what Barry Smith went through. You know, from the very first work that he did, which was just a poor Kirby ripoff, to what became Barry Smith on Conan.
I mean, that's the aim,
really
don't you think?
fast.
That's the aim. I mean, like
Mazzucchelli deserves a lot of credit for that.
to slough off
for
your
his,
influences, you know, and become yourself.
Process, for his progress. I mean,
Yeah, and
it's amazing work.
I love David's work. It's hard to separate it from the writing, though, right? I mean, there's just some moments in that story, in both of them. You're talking about Born Again, right, Cully?
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of like the evolution, yeah, I mean, but I think the same holds true for Batman Year One. I think it's hard to separate the writing and the art because they're so in sync. You know, I mean, the art is doing its job.
Unbelievable. There's a moment in Batman Year One that I just brought up the other day. I talked about it with the students too. It's just one of my favorite all-time moments in a comic book, and it's where Gordon is sitting on the bed smoking a cigarette, lamenting that his wife is pregnant, who's asleep on the bed, and he's going through the internal dialogue thing, and then it comes to a place where he says, "How can I be so stupid?" I'm not going to get the words exactly right, but to bring a child into a city without hope. And then that next shot is just this very simply drawn. I mean, the panel by itself would be nothing special hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
But in the context of everything, I honestly got a lump in my throat. I just think it's just such beautiful storytelling. Such beautiful storytelling. And the way the art and the writing work is like parallel melodies that kind of hand the ball off to one another back and forth. It's
jazz. It's like two jazz musicians playing off each other, you know?
Yeah. And I think that I always found Daredevil Born Again a little more emotional. I resonated more emotionally with that one. And the Batman Year One, although it's certainly got emotional impact, it's so cerebral. It's so tight.
Yeah.
But what do I know?
A lot.
Whatever happened to those two guys?
Hey, Cully, can you push your piece up? Yeah, there you go. Wasn't in frame.
I know. I was getting a marker.
Oh.
I'm allowed.
You are allowed.
Who's creaking?
I think that's me. Sorry. I'm looking for a pen nib. And
that is the chair, right?
Yeah. This time.
Let's see. We got another question from Jason. I know it's too early to predict, but you're all regular attendees at conventions. Do you foresee going to fewer shows post COVID-19 or changing the way you interact with fans?
Yes.
I don't.
No, same.
Well, I mean, imagine things out of our control that shows may be canceled, but I mean, the way that I act, I'm not going to act any differently because you're either going to have to get along in the world or you're going to have to hide away like a hermit.
Whoa. But when
I'm not saying to take it lightly. I'm just saying eventually you're going to either be exposed to this and it's really not going to affect you, or you might get really sick. But we can't hide away forever. That's just my personal take on it.
I would imagine I'll be hugging less for a little while.
Yeah, I think I'm probably with Lee. I'm probably going to be hugging less, maybe a little less quick to shake someone's hand, maybe.
Just for a time, anyway.
Yeah, until the numbers come back down to a point where you can feel that there's maybe some herd immunity happening.
I think we lost Klaus here. Hold on, let's see if we can get him back.
Has there ever been a problem in the history of mankind where so many brainiacs are probably zeroed in on it, trying to? I take
Again,
solace
I'm not
in
trying to
that there are a lot
condone
of people
reckless
that work.
behavior.
What's that? What's that?
I'm just saying, eventually, me myself, I'm going to have to leave the house
Oh yeah.
and continue on as I did before.
Do you really have to though?
I'm trying to stay in the house.
We've been meaning
I
to talk
do,
to you,
yeah.
Andrew. We've been meaning to talk to you, Andrew. We want you to stay inside.
Yeah. I mean, for now, I am being a good boy and staying at home. I mean, I actually usually stay at home anyway.
Where do you live, Andrew?
Andrew's in California, Altadena, right?
Yeah. I'm only in contact with two people: my girlfriend, my daughter.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
What else do you need? And the delivery guy. Person. Klaus is back.
Yep.
Did you hear that question? Klaus needs to answer that one.
What was that?
Jason said, I know it's too early to predict, but you all are regular attendees at conventions.
Yeah.
Do you foresee going to fewer shows post COVID-19 or changing the way you interact with fans?
I anticipate. I'm sorry I missed the answer from everybody else, but I do anticipate probably one or two or three less conventions per year. Not dramatically, but it's and then interacting with fans is it'll be an elbow bump, right? I mean, what are you going to do? I think if we go to a convention, even next year we'll be wearing masks, right?
I know I'm going to keep my shirt on at least.
No, we should be doing that anyway.
Well, that would be a first for you, Cully.
Hey, look, I'm not Dean Haspiel, okay?
Oh, Lord. Did you see that picture of Bill Sienkiewicz floating around?
I did. Oh, my God.
What?
Oh, Bill posted a reference photo of himself that was more Bill than I think I've ever seen. And he had a little black square over the naughty bits.
That's pretty good. Let me see if I can find it.
You going to put it on the stream?
Yeah, let me see if I can. Pretty good.
Oh, the reference shot of him with the gun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked all the photoshopping that was going on.
Yeah, now hanging in MoMA. Someone put it.
Right. That's what I love about comics.
Yeah, then they put. Here, I'm gonna put this one up. Let me find it. Hold on. This is good. Here we go. This brought some joy to my day. Hold on.
Are you putting it online?
Yeah, hold on. I just have to upload it. This one's the best. If I can get it to work. Here we go. Down. There we go. There it is. Oop, let me turn off. I think that was the best one so far.
Yeah, I like the Phantom Zone villains down there.
That's good stuff. It's almost as good as this gentleman right here.
Oh God.
Who is that?
That's Cully. Look at that head of hair.
I've been loving the pictures of Cully with his rock star hair.
Yeah. Me too. Yep. Sorry, Sydney. He said he was eating lunch.
I'll never eat lunch again.
There's a question from Mercury asking if you guys just work alone or do you have apprentices or assistants?
Okay, go.
I was going to say I never really had. I mean, I've had a few kind of I guess you'd call them assistants over the years, but when I was at Gaijin, that was like I worked at Gaijin Studios for 20 years almost. So that was kind of my studio experience. But I've worked alone for about 10 years now, maybe more actually. About 10 years.
I will occasionally have somebody, fill in blacks for me and clean the gutters.
I've had a couple
But
of
not
guys
a lot.
come in once or twice.
Not a lot anymore.
Sorry, Lee. Lee, what were you saying?
I said I've had a couple of young guys come in once or twice, but nothing regular.
What were they working on when they came in? What would they help you with?
The one I remember in particular is somebody helped me with the background on a page from I think it was the Batman Annual a couple of years ago. Yeah.
Did you ever have an assistant that messed something up that you had to fix or you fired him over? That was so blatantly bad that created a problem?
Yes. I had one particular one that was really, really bad that I was very angry about.
Did you have to redo the page? Or?
I had to do some fixing, yeah. I don't know. I don't even know if I should say, because I mean, who knows if he might be watching, but
Yeah, you don't have to say.
yeah, it was egregiously bad, and help me out.
And that's it. Here's another question. What do you normally do to pass time while drawing? Radio, music, podcasts, TV in the background, silence?
All the above.
Everything?
Yeah.
Cable news, music, podcasts, soundtracks.
What kind of podcasts do you listen to?
Me, mostly political stuff or, let's see. Yeah, political stuff. Noam Chomsky.
Really?
Yeah.
Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky has a podcast?
No, but he does interviews.
Is somebody saying that? I'm not hearing it.
No, you can't hear us, Lee?
I heard somebody react to Chomsky. I didn't hear who said it.
Oh, Klaus listens to Chomsky podcast, is what he was saying.
Or interviews.
Yeah. The question was, what do you listen to while you're working, Lee?
Oh, I heard the question. I just didn't hear the answer, but I heard somebody act surprised at the answer.
What do you listen to?
Some music. I go on nostalgia kicks and listen to some Motown or some movie soundtracks and a bunch of sermons. A couple of preachers I like to listen to.
Yeah. What's your favorite movie soundtrack?
Favorite movie soundtrack? Oh gosh.
Lawrence of Arabia.
How about just the guys that I like? I like John Powell. I like the guy that did whose name's escaping me. What's the movie? Now I'm going to blank on the movie.
Star Wars?
Well, yeah, that stuff. Rocky, Star Wars, Indiana Jones stuff. But there was a what's it called? I'm blanking on the movie. It's an old movie.
Casablanca.
I don't even know who does this one, but I always loved the music, the soundtrack in the Errol Flynn Robin Hood.
Eric Korngold.
Is that right?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's Eric Korngold.
It always strikes me how bright and cheery it is while people are getting arrows shot into their chest.
I know. It's just so adventurous. You know, it's just.
But that's one of my favorite movies. But more than the movie, I think it has one of the greatest opening scenes ever. Introduction of the conflict. That first 13 minutes is as good as it gets.
Of what, Lee? What movie?
I don't think Lee can hear Klaus.
Yeah.
I definitely no, I can't.
He said what movie?
What movie? What? I forgot what it is.
That had the greatest opening. That.
Adventures of Robin Hood.
Oh,
Adventures of Robin has one of the greatest
Cully, you
openings.
tell me. What was the movie?
Just where it builds right up to his.
He says Adventures of Robin Hood.
Yeah. All right.
Oh, sure. You mean the Kevin Costner one or the
Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn.
Yes.
Well, the Kevin Costner one is Bryan Adams. That was the greatest.
Oh,
My eighth grade dance. That was my eighth grade. Prom. I think.
What was that one? Everything I do. Is that one? Is that the song?
Yeah. I think that's it.
the song's better than the movie.
That's true, but that was a good year.
Oh, Bryan Adams.
Outside, go to conventions, all that fun stuff.
Am I staying in frame?
Hey, what's Superman shooting from his hand there, Cully?
He's not. He's stopping a blast. Did you not ever see like the old animated serials?
Yeah,
That's like a famous thing of him like stopping the laser beam with his hand.
I don't recall. I don't recall that part.
The Fleischer
Yeah,
animated. Yeah.
those are amazing.
There's another question from Jay. What character have you each drawn the most for collectors? What characters do you rarely get asked to draw but would love to be asked to do?
Batman is the most, and the Hulk is the least.
Why the Hulk?
I'd love to do the Hulk.
Something about it? Him? Is there something about the Hulk that you like to draw?
How come I can't hear Klaus?
Well, he's not talking for one thing.
Oh, okay. Who is talking?
Let's go to you, Lee, and then we'll go back to Klaus.
Oh no, that's all right. What? A character that I'd like to draw that I don't get to draw? Is that it?
Yeah.
Like at conventions, the character that you draw the most or you're asked to draw the most, and then the character that nobody ever asked you to do that you'd like to do.
Well, probably the two most are Daredevil and Batman. And I don't know if there's one that I don't get asked that I've really thought about that. Oh, I'd love to do it, but I know the rare occasion that I get like a Nick Fury, I really enjoy that an awful lot.
Is there something about the character that you like?
Pardon?
Is there something about that character or design that you like?
It's probably some nostalgic connection. You know, the gritty face. You know, he's one of the rough guys, so I like doing that. I've always said that the rough characters and the Daredevil, Captain America, more clean cut characters. My brother one of my older brothers always shows up in the clean cut ones, and my dad always shows up in the rough ones. So there's probably something in there. I don't know.
Cully, what about you?
This is going to sound weird, but my answer is probably the same as Klaus's. I get asked to draw Batman a fair amount. Also get asked to draw Blue Beetle and The Question. I hardly ever get asked to draw like the Hulk or the Punisher, things like that. That would be fun to do.
What was Klaus's answer? I never heard it.
Batman
and the Hulk.
My question, though, my follow-up question, Klaus, was why the Hulk? Why would you want to draw the Hulk? What is it about him that you like?
Oh, okay.
Jason has apparently
he's really fun to
grown
draw.
smart and muted me.
Yeah. Must be your phone. We got to get you a new phone.
Who, me?
Getting a new phone for you.
Everyone gets a new phone. Andrew, what about you?
Well, definitely Batman's a common theme here. I think most of us, Batman's probably the most requested commission character. But I mean, I'd rather not rather, but I like to be asked more for characters maybe like the Hulk or Conan or just sort of like big muscly dudes with little clothing. That's always fun.
Is it just because you like drawing muscles?
And dudes.
I mean, you
with
draw
big muscles.
Yeah.
Or, She-Hulk would be cool too. I'm never asked to draw a She-Hulk.
Maybe that's the next stream, characters that you've never worked on but want to do.
That would be fun. We should do theme episodes.
Okay, that'll be next time. Another question is, for Lee, do you have any plans to do something creator-owned?
Nothing specific yet, but yes.
Perfect. Boom. Let's see. And Oriole Lee says he really enjoyed your Batman FUD story. It was brilliant.
And it was fun.
Matthew asks, do you guys have any non-licensed story ideas that you'd love to draw but never had time to develop?
Non-licensed?
I guess creator-owned, yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
He has another question, but I'll edit it a little bit to say, what makes a good editor when you're trying to get your projects done and your pages in? I know there's obviously good and bad editors. What makes one good?
People skills.
Yeah.
Just learning how to interact and communicate?
Well, I don't know. That's such a thorny question because I think that, it also depends on who the creative team is because some personalities just don't mesh with others and some do. And, a lot of times someone who may not be a good editor for one freelancer becomes great for another because they develop a close working relationship. Sometimes the power structure is different from project to project. I mean, I've been on projects where I was the strong personality. I've been on projects where the editor was. I've been on projects where the writer was, and that person becomes the quarterback. It just depends. To me, it's like a good editor is someone who is good at project management. Making sure that everything stays flowing. Sometimes a little bit of a psychologist. Sometimes just a friendly ear. Someone who is. I'm not going to say tells you what you want to hear, but sort of tells you what you need to hear and is motivational. And I think the worst editors are the ones that try to be the creator, try to use you as their hands or their tool. I mean, don't you think so? It's like they hire you to do a job. They should help facilitate you doing that job, but they shouldn't try to use you to do what they want. I mean, I realize that especially in company-owned comics, there's a directive that you have to fulfill with a character, but they're hiring you because you know how to do something like that. You're skillful at handling that sort of thing, but you still get to make decisions. I don't know. I said, it's a thorny question.
No, Cully, I think that's the perfect answer.
Yeah, I was going to say I haven't found anything I disagree with. So that you said.
Well, damn. All right. I pulled it off. I sounded like I know what I was talking about.
Mic drop.
I mean, I don't have anything to add to that. I agree 100%.
And how often does that happen?
I guess it depends on what we're talking about.
I am going to consider this one wrapped up, I think.
How come you put the S on backwards? Is that Bizarro? Why is
Yeah, that's exactly right, Jason. I don't know. Is my camera like showing it reversed or something?
Yeah.
No.
That's all right. I don't think it was that way last time, though. I wonder why that is.
I don't know. There's probably some setting that I need to fix.
But hey, guys, there's a queensfeedshospitals.com. If you could take a look, donate a few bucks, that'd be cool. They're they're donating money to restaurants to go and feed the local nurses and doctors in Queens and New York. Check it out. Mercury, the Superman will be for sale on the site shortly after the stream. If you're interested, Klaus's is a commission already spoken for, as is Andrew's, I believe.
Jason, this commission that I'm working on right now?
You broke up. What?
The question was if any of these would be for sale.
Yeah, I'll be as soon as I'm off here. I'll make a scan of this and I'll put it up on Twitter if you want a good look at it.
Perfect.
I think so.
Yeah. I know a few people would be interested.
Next week's drawing will be of a nude Bill Sienkiewicz.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
With or without the black square.
Okay, that one is spoken for. I want that.
I'm going to put the black square on that, and it's going to have the Phantom Zone villains on it. Actually, you know what? Instead of the Phantom Zone villains, it'll be us inside the square screaming.
That's a good. I think that's good. It's a good idea.
Yeah. All right, that one is done.
And here's our Instagram and social media accounts. If you guys would be so kind as to follow Klaus and Cully and Lee and Andrew and myself and Eric Canetti. He's not here. He was supposed to come in for a little surprise visit.
He is elusive.
Dave Johnson.
Dave was supposed to be here, but he wasn't feeling well.
All these failures to appear.
That's true. Let's see. Jason has another question. As rates have appropriately risen for commissions, have you seen less buying and flipping of your stuff? I hope so. Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys even keep track of that stuff on where your stuff goes on either eBay or on the secondary market? Is that something you guys are aware of?
I really don't. No.
No, I don't either.
Yeah, I mean, I keep an eye out, and I see occasionally some of the commissions get resold or traded for whatever reason. Many go for a bit more, some go for a bit less. It just depends on timing, and I guess. Thanks.
It's definitely cooler if they sell for a bit more.
It is. It is, I would say. Some do, some don't. I don't know. It just depends. Those dominant.
I guess the only thing that hurts is if somebody got like a special deal from you, or they got something at a low price, and then
they flipped it. Yeah, that happens all the time.
They might flip it for like double the price they paid for it. I mean, that hurts a little bit, but again, I kind of treat it it's business, and it is what it is.
No, it happens. The only time I have a problem is when people are just saying how much they're how big fans they are, and please, and oh my gosh, this is the best, and I only have X amount, and then within the week you see it up sold or on eBay or something, which is kind of
and you have to do your homework and kind of like figure out who's a real fan and who's also like more of just an art dealer, art trader,
Yeah, I think it's one of the reasons why we just can't do stuff like that unless you're a little kid or something. But even then, some parents send their kids out to get sketches.
That's the crazy thing is when people do that. Like people send their cute little kid up, and you always want to like do something for the kids because you want to create new comics fans, and they just love it so much. But at the same time, when kid walks up and then you see them walk away and hand something to their dad, and it's like their dad is like a known flipper. That's a really weird situation.
Well, yeah, we've had kids, roll up with a Daredevil like 168 or something. Like, why would this year-old have the old
right? Or if they walk up with a stack of books.
Yeah, that's a little disheartening, but we try to do our best. I think can't make everyone happy. We try.
Yeah, I mean that said, it's like my instinct is always going to be a draw for a kid.
Yeah,
little kid walks up. I'm probably going to draw something for that little kid, even if it's just something that takes me 20 seconds. I'm going to do something.
No, for sure. I mean, I used to go around with my little pad at convention, asking guys for stuff.
I'm loving that Daredevil, Klaus. He's not hearing me, is he?
Hey, Klaus.
Yeah.
Well, he says he hates your drawing.
That's not what I said. Can you hear me, Klaus?
I'm used to it.
Can you hear Cully?
Klaus, can you hear me?
No. Cully's trying to talk to you, but I guess it's not coming through properly.
No, I can't.
What kind of crappy camera did you buy him?
He's not using the expensive one I sent him.
What's he using? His phone?
His iPhone, yes.
Just use my cell phone.
Yeah. He doesn't like any gifts that I give him.
Too much attention.
The next thing I would like to get is I need to get like a better microphone, like a unidirectional microphone.
Yeah, I was looking on Amazon yesterday for one.
Yeah, something with less echo and
Apparently, we got to get our home studios.
Prepared. Get the green screen set up and everything.
Everything has been changed.
Right.
You guys have any thoughts on San Diego being canceled?
I mean, it's a shame, but I agree with their reasons.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm obviously bummed, but I'm also a little relieved that I don't have to have the stress of San Diego this year.
Yeah, I mean that's sort of how I'm looking at it. Like it's like I am bummed that any of the shows that we normally do or that we were planning on doing this year being canceled. On the other hand, it's like there is a certain silver lining in that it's like, wow, I can just work. I can just sort of stay in my studio and do my stuff, you know.
Yeah, I think the silver lining that is we can all recuperate a little bit.
This
And I
was
think
my
that
first, this was going to be my first San Diego. So
Oh, really?
yeah,
That's surprisingly.
I was
What-
an invited
what, Lee?
guest, and they announced me a week before they canceled.
Huh.
It's Lee's fault.
Yeah,
It's all Lee's fault.
I mean, one good thing is it's sort of motivated us all to do more things like this. You know, which is not the same as a convention, but you know, I think we should be doing more live stream type stuff. I think it's fun and it's interesting for people to see. Not everybody can get to a convention, so
That's true. I think that's a silver lining.
yeah.
Let's see. Matthew asked, are there any unusual art tools that anyone has discovered recently that you would recommend?
No. I pretty much stick to the tried and true most of the time. You know, I've got my things that I use, and yeah, I haven't used anything new lately. What about you guys?
I like the white marker by Posca.
By who? Klaus.
Klaus by whom? Cully's asking.
Posca, Posca. They're the best white marker I've ever discovered.
Spell it.
Can you spell it again? Yep.
so am I blocked from
Here they are.
Klaus?
I think we all are.
No, I think he just froze for a second.
Yeah, and I resent it, by the way.
Can you spell it again, Klaus?
All right, Jason, what's up with my connection here?
Hey, Jason,
What's
I
going
have
on?
one in front of my camera.
Oh, wait. Hold on. There we go. Can you see it,
Can you
Cully?
hear me?
Yeah, but I can't see the logo on it.
Posca.
Posca.
Okay, yeah.
Posca.
I'm gonna look for that.
I get it. Usually,
they're fabulous.
Mateo brings extras, and I get it from Mateo.
Okay. So you can't buy them in America, or
I think they're Japanese.
I could probably get them on JetPen, right?
We're gonna take a look
I
up.
think these are Italian.
Could I buy them on JetPen?
Here's the link. Cully, I just posted it.
Okay. I'll check it out.
They make for good splatters, also.
Huh.
Mateo knows good splatter.
What is this?
Yes.
This is the pen that Klaus uses. I think, well, a lot of the guys use.
I can't see it.
All right.
I've also been using like these sort of cheap calligraphy pens I get at Blick.
Oh, hold on. Let me go over to you.
Okay, Jace, I'm done. Can you hear me? Jason, can you hear me?
Yeah, hold on, Andrew. Yeah, we got you
Yeah.
there, Klaus. Klaus,
Nice.
you there? Can you hear
Hey,
me?
what?
There you
Yeah,
are.
I'm here.
You froze a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't hear people. I can't see people. I don't know what's going on today.
It's crazy.
But
Well-
I'm done, Jace.
All right. You're going to hang out, or you're going to go on to your next thing today?
Yeah, my next thing. Yes, you see that? I did my commission.
Perfect.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Hey, guys, I'll see you next week, I guess.
All right. See you,
Those of
Klaus.
you who can hear me.
Bye-bye,
All
Klaus.
All right,
thanks.
later, Klaus.
See you, Klaus.
All right. See
I'll talk to you
guys.
later.
I should probably get going too. I have a cover I've got to finish.
A cover you got to finish. Yeah. All right. Let's put that piece back in frame. And
Yeah, I'll stick it up on Twitter.
Well, one last shot. There you go. Very cool. We'll have that for sale, I guess, in a little bit after the stream. If anyone's interested.
Bye, everybody.
See you later.
Bye,
All right, later, Cully.
All right. So now we got Andrew and Lee. Let's see. Hey, Brian. Mateo and Maria seem to be doing good. Oh, let's see. Who else do we have? Thanks, Sydney. All right. Any other questions you guys have? Where'd you go, Andrew?
I'm right here.
Yeah.
I've got to look up some reference for Hellboy's the little boot legging thing he has.
Leggy boot?
Yeah. Well, usually it's just in shadow in most of the drawings of Hellboy.
Let's see. Sydney, ECC made an announcement that August is supposed to be the rescheduled time slot for their show. So we'll see if that goes on. And sorry, you're going to miss out on San Diego, but hopefully next year. Jude, yeah, we're going to try to do these live streams every week or so, especially during convention weekends. So we'll see if we can do a special San Diego stream with some exclusives.
Absolutely unbelievable now.
Lee, did you say something? Lee, can you hear me?
You're crackling.
Yeah, it's crackling. There's a question which says, have you guys tried digital mediums? What are your thoughts on it?
I still haven't broken down to get a Cintiq yet, but I have used like the Wacom tablets.
And I don't think Lee uses anything digital. You're all traditional, if I'm not mistaken, right, Lee?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much, straight up analog, except for some minor photoshopping at the end.
Right. Let's see. And you're working on a creator-owned project, Andrew, right?
Yeah.
Do you know when it's supposed to be coming out?
I don't. Sorry. But you know what? While I'm thinking about it, I'll show a few pages.
Oh yeah, let's check it out.
Just hold on, let me find those real quick.
And you have another question, Andrew, from Sydney, asking, is there a special meaning to space junkies? Oh, he probably left for a second to go grab the art, so hold on.
Yeah, it's like a space rock band project. I actually I had a short story published through through Aftershock in their Shock anthology.
Yep, I think Lee's going to reboot. He was having some technical issues.
Here's a page of artwork.
Okay. That's rad. Is it 11 by 17? Looks a little smaller.
Yeah, it's your normal comic book
Very cool.
size page.
I don't remember you doing panels like that previously. Very cinematic.
Yeah.
Very cool. I'll take that one. Let me see where Lee's at. Oh, that's pretty. Oh no. I think hold on one moment. I think we lost a few guys. Hold please, with some technical difficulties. Nobody wants to look at my face, so give me one moment. There we go. There you are. I got scared there for a second. Can you hear me? Andrew. Andrew. Hello. You still there? Oh, having some technical issues here at the moment. Hey, Phil. They usually only post commissions and stuff, usually. So it's kind of rare for them to show stuff that's being worked on. Very cool. Oh, yeah, I can't hear you, Andrew. What? Yeah, nothing's coming through. You broke your phone. Okay, it's back to me. Oh boy. Here. I think they're coming back in a second. So hold on tight. No.
No.
There we go. I think
All right.
yeah, perfect. I was getting worried there. I was by myself. There we go. That's cool. Uh-oh. Here we go. There's Lee.
Sorry about that.
You guys left me by myself for a minute.
Well,
I can finally hear Lee now.
Oh, there you go.
I didn't realize that my phone had a full charge, but it used everything. So.
Oh, wasn't plugged in, I guess. Yeah.
No, it wasn't. I didn't think it. Actually, I didn't think we were going that long.
Oh, we go all day. It's what we do.
Yeah.
No, usually it's an hour or two. Depends on how quickly everyone gets stuff done.
Well, I'm upstairs now. My stuff is downstairs, so I'm probably just gonna.
Okay. Well, we can do another stream in the next few days if you're willing.
Is this? I didn't get to see anything anybody was doing downstairs. So, is this Andrews, the Hellboy?
Yeah, Andrew.
Awesome. Looks awesome.
All right, thank you.
And did you show that other piece? This is what Andrew's been working on for his creator-owned project, which hopefully we'll see soon. Where's that one? Yeah.
Oh, heavens. And you did that car right out of your head, right? No reference.
No, I use reference.
I'm just kidding. That looks great. Looks great. It's like a label of love there. Love the sound effect. Sound effects.
Yeah, it's fun to be able to, for me, to be able to incorporate it right into the art versus adding it later digitally.
Is the lettering? Oh, well, I guess the lettering is going to be added digitally.
Yeah.
Yeah. The more stuff on the original, the better. I think it's a much warmer look. It just feels more personal.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Are you spending still about a day or so on each page?
No, I spend a lot more than a day on a page.
A lot more, yeah.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
It's not good for business, but it's good for the art.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you have to have that thing that makes you feel, feel connected and good.
Very cool.
So my sound was terrible on the phone.
I think towards the end, maybe the streaming. I don't know if it was your battery or whatnot, but it wasn't terrible. It just wasn't the best.
Okay.
I think Klaus was having a hard time with not just your audio, but with a few others.
Okay.
But we can fix that.
Yeah, I'm getting newer stuff, hopefully. So we'll have some better equipment next time.
Did you have a good time at least?
I did. Yeah, I did.
All right.
And I've got some more to do on that Daredevil drawing, but
I'm sure you guys will be asking for it.
Yeah. So.
All right, so we'll try again in a few days. You'll have schedule opening to spend some time.
I don't know about a few days, but
next week.
Soon, yeah.
It's all relative.
Yeah, I'm down for next week sometime also.
All right, very cool. Well, then I'll let you guys go. But before we do, if y'all would be so kind as to check out queensfeedshospitals.com. They're taking donations to help local restaurants help feed the nurses and doctors at the local hospitals in Queens, New York, Brooklyn, and the surrounding areas. So they've raised over $100,000 so far. So anything you guys can donate would be awesome. And
yeah, why don't we do some sort of auction?
Yeah. Maybe for the next one we could pick out a few pieces or take a few donations.
Yeah, I'm doing one right now for the creators for comics.
Oh yeah, okay. So that's at what, Space Junkies on Twitter. You can auctioning off a piece of art.
Yeah, or you can just hashtag creators for comics, and you can see all the art that's there for the auction.
All right, cool.
I mean, of course, like bidding on mine is cool, but yeah, definitely just check it all out. But yeah, it's done on Twitter, and yeah, just check out that hashtag creators for comics. It's the number 4.
Yep, I think Klaus has one going on now. And we're going to put some stuff together for some of the other guys. So just keep an eye on social media, and we'll get a few of those up and running hopefully this coming week.
I have to jump in.
You have to jump in, yeah?
To that, yeah.
Okay. Well, I've got some art here, or if you want to do something, whatever you're cool with, I'm sure everyone will appreciate it.
All right.
So thanks, guys. We appreciate it. Thanks for spending the last almost 2 hours with us, Lee and Andrew and the other guys that came in, Cully, Klaus. Dave was supposed to be here, but he wasn't feeling well. So we'll get everyone back on.
I definitely want to give a big shout out to everybody that's ordering commissions. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We appreciate those commissions. If you're interested, you can go to essentialsequential.com and click on commissions to see who's available to take some sketch requests. We're going to twist Lee's arm hopefully in the next few weeks when time allows.
Yes. I'm good.
And if there's any other questions, you can contact us at essentialsequential.com or jason at essentialsequential.com. But thanks again, guys. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Take care.
Bye, Jason. Bye, Lee. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Andrew. Bye, Jason. Bye, Klaus.